והנה אחרי הדברים והאמת האלה, after the words and the truth, after the words what was said in the two chapters, and the Alter Rebbe brought out the truth, meaning when we are talking about the point of the creation, there's two ways to see it. One way is the logical way. And logical wise, we came to the conclusion that the creation is something against its own nature, because by nature it doesn't exist. So every second has to be recreated. Because if it would not be recreated, it goes back to the previous status that it doesn't exist. Because by nature it doesn't exist. You need something to change it to make it exist. So logic says that on an ongoing basis, every moment, nothing exists on its own. Hashem has to create it and constantly recreate it. Because if it was needed to be created, then automatically needs to be recreated. That is a logical point of view. Now there's another thing. Do we know if God created the whole creation in a logical point of view or not? In other words, does logic apply to God? So that logical way what the Rebbe proved before, is it correct? Is it logical? So the Alter Rebbe says that is the truth. Hashem revealed that He created all the creation in a logical way. So then automatically you have to apply logic. That means the people, when they're acting like fools, they do not understand the logical point of view. They take the logic, but mistranslate it, and they miss out the point, because they compare an action of a human to change the shape of material to creation. It's nothing the same. To change the form and the shape, that's a natural thing. That's why once you made to change the thing, it stays by himself. It doesn't need the artist or the silversmith. You don't need it anymore. When it comes to creation, it's the same as water. If you don't keep holding it, like the wind by, let's see, or the cup, the water will go down because the water has a nature. Even that nature, the water should go downwards all the time. It's something in water. There is water, and water has a nature. When we talk about creation, without that it doesn't create it at all. So the moment it stops, there is nothing there. Like if someone will take a stone, and he throws the stone. Does the stone become a flying stone, or the power makes it fly? So the moment that the power finishes, it's gone. They miscalculated. The parallel what they make is totally wrong logically. But if someone will come and say, okay, logically it's not like that. But how do I know it's not like that? Maybe God did. So we say, yes, God told us. In the Torah, it's clear that in the Ten Commandments, He created the creation. And in what way is it? That constantly, on an ongoing basis, He recreates it. Why? Because He created the world in such a way that we should be able to understand it. So we are able to relate to godliness and to holiness. Because if it's a miracle, so we cannot relate to it. If something we cannot understand, it doesn't apply in our life. So it's very easy to say, God created the world and disconnects from them. Now we can do what we want. But the creation is with a purpose. So if the purpose means that everything in the godly development and the glory, we should be able to apply it in our life. We should be able to attach ourselves and get connected with godliness. So every emotion, or call it, or every measurement, or every revelation, we should find a parallel in our soul and apply to it. And more only the person gets he gets more the glory and more the revelation. But if there wouldn't be a parallel, something to fully fit in, you couldn't get it. If you don't have a ladder, you cannot step up. To be able to step up, so Hashem created the worlds in a way that we can step on it. How is it? Logical. Bring it down to emotion, express it in action. And that's why the Alter Rebbe says, after the words what we explained and the emet, the truth, so now we're going to bring it to the second stage. But who is going to understand it? Kol maskil, a person with is learned and understanding. I don't know the words what to use here.
Discerning.
Huh?
Discerning person.
Yeah, discerning person. One what his logic is developed and he understands. He will understand Yavin maskil al davar Yavin la'ashuro. He will understand how logical, straight, and understandable it is, and he will good receive it very well. What will understand, and that the Rebbe come to another stage, totally the next level to what we were talking until now. איך שכל נברא ויש, הוא באמת, every creation and existence, הוא באמת, and the truth is, הוא נחשב לעין ואפס, is considered like nothing and nullified לגבי כוח הפועל ורוח פיו, relation to the power what moves it and makes it work, and the breath of Hashem שבנפעל in the thing what was made, המהווה אותו תמיד, that he recreates it, ומוציאו מאין ממש, he takes it out from real nullification that is nothing, leyesh to be existence, a being. Okay, we'll stop here. That's the first part. We'll take the example from a stone. If we take a stone and we throw it up in the air, would someone of us think that the stone became a flying stone? Or it's just my power in the stone what keeps the stone up and lifts them up? Everyone understand? Why? Because the nature of the stone is to lie down on ground, to the lowest point, and it doesn't move. What makes the stone being in the air and moving in the air? It's not the stone. It's my power, my moving power, what I have, put it in the stone, and that's stronger than the nature of the stone as much as it exists, the power, and that makes the stone, lifts them up, the same as we can take the stone and hold it in the hand. So that the other nature of the power goes in, the energy goes in the stone, and that energy keeps the stone in the air, flying. The moment when the energy is finished, the stone goes back to natural status, so it lies down. Now, the stone has your own existence. As it comes to creation, the whole creation and the existence of the creation is something against his nature. Because by nature, it doesn't exist. And by the power of the Creator, the creation starts to be from nullified, from nothing to a being. Right? So now, let's think, let's take the power of the stone. The same as the stone, we say the stone didn't become a flying stone. Just the power makes the stone fly. Is there an existence, or there is only a power what makes exist? It makes exist. Let's take an example to better understand. We have a life. What means life? There is a body, and there is a soul. If God forbid one moment there's a disconnection between the soul and the body, what happens to the body? No.
Dust.
But the body still exists because the body exists without the soul. But the life on the body comes from the soul. Now, if you take the same concept that the all existence would come from the soul, what would be the moment when the soul disappears? Nobody. So it means even when the soul is there, what exists? The soul with its expression. Right? I'll give you another example. What is light? Light is your own existence, or just there is the source of the light, like the candle, the sun, the moon, the light, and because that exists, that's why we get enlightenment from that. It's a very simple test. If you disconnect, you put something between the light and between us and the source of the light. Does the light exist, or the light doesn't exist?
The light exists, but was trenched, it was cut to don't.
The source of the light exists, but for us
That
the light
source.
doesn't exist.
Why? If the light exists as a light by itself existence, why if I cut off in a bit, the light disappears, it doesn't exist anymore? Because the light is not your own existence. Just the source of the light is so strong, so that light's here. So the light here, from where does it come? Actually from the source.
From the source.
That's why the moment you don't have the source, automatically there's no light. Now, if we are like the light, the glory of Hashem, that makes it exist. The moment that it disappears, we do not exist anymore. So when it exists, what exists? Ourself its existence, or it's only expression or a revelation of Him? In other words, we are not existing.
Right.
What is existing? Only Him, the way He expresses Himself and reveals Himself. The unexistence being as a self, impossible. Because if we have to be constantly recreated, so who is there? We or Him? It's only Him there. Now, that says so creates a revolution in the way of thinking. And if we take it wrong, we can go very far. There is a Hasidic, I would say maybe cynical or joke, that to explain how we shouldn't take it wrong. If we come with that expression, but in that explanation that we explained until now, so it's very easy to understand. The verse will say, "En od milvado," that there is nothing existing but Him. Why? Because everything is just Him. There was a guy that borrowed money from his friend, and Lubavitch, that the joke goes. The next day he comes, "Can you give me back my money?" He tells them, "Nothing exists, en od milvado, only Hashem exists." He didn't know what to do, went to the Rav. The Rav called the guy in and asked him, "What's the story?" Says, "Nothing exists but Hashem." Says, "No problem. We'll take this stick what doesn't exist. We'll beat you what doesn't exist until we give the money what doesn't exist." In other words, saying nothing exists but Hashem cannot play to the benefit of the ego. That has to be a tool how we elevate ourselves and nullify ourselves. To realize that our visual existence, the way we see it, that's not the right way. Now comes the question, if the truth is that we do not exist, how come we do feel exist? How can we do feel our own existence? So it's a good question, and the Alter Rebbe is going to explain it. But first of all, before we go to that question, it has to be really clear in our mind to understand it clearly. That logic says that all what we see is not His own existence. It's Him. And nothing but Him exists. So everything what I see in the world is actually godly. No world. What I have to see is only godly. What that brings us, that not only cannot be that the regular world is against Hashem, against the Torah, because how can light be against light? But more than that, everything is made as a revelation from godliness. Everything is actually revealing the power of Hashem. So what do I have to see in everything? The God. So if someone comes in here and upsets us, and he's wrong, I'm right, totally, 100%, even though it's impossible. I'm totally right, he's totally wrong. Do I have to get upset or see the godliness in it? That's why King David, when he was running away from his son Absalom, and there was someone cursing him, and he says, Hashem told him to curse him. Hashem didn't reveal himself and didn't give him a command. But King David says, for me, it's a message from godliness. So I have no point to get upset. That's one of the explanations of why our sages are telling us, whoever gets upset is like worshipping idols. Because if you get upset, you're saying that Hashem is not the leader. Everything is not godly. So you go against Hashem or not? You're making your own idols. But if we see everything Hashem, so all the life is a totally complete different vision. Because everything in life is our God is revealing himself now. Our godliness comes out again. So just to brainwash yourself and see and meditate in it, that everything doesn't exist by himself. So do we have really a world against us, or it's only God? So that gives a total different view of life and everything. We have to receive that godliness and work with that, how to make it better within ourselves. But everything is actually godly. Now the real question is, if so, how come we see a difference? Now, that question is not actually a very strong question. And I just touch the point, and we'll, God willing, continue tomorrow. When we dream, in the dream, are we sure it's reality or not? A normal dream, we're sure it's reality. Does it make it not a dream? So that because we feel that does it really change? But the question is much stronger. The Torah says Bereshit bara, that He created the world. It means it's a real creation. How can it be? If we say, so that's God.